Welcome to the NFL's Way to Play Performance Series. And on this episode, we're featuring the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. We all know that speed is a coveted trait in the National Football League. But the great divide with speed is those that know how to use it versus those that do not. Stephon Gilmore understands how to use his athletic ability, but his football IQ is what separates him. So we got you covered. We're gonna walk you through what makes Stephon Gilmore such an amazing football player. One of the key performance traits for Stephon Gilmore is his ability to use his feet to create space at the appropriate time. Is there a movement for that?
Yes, there is. And we're gonna use a VMO drag here. Well, it's not a drag, it's kind of VMO Banded Pull. You can use a sled as well if you want to, but we're gonna use the bands here for today for video purposes. All we're gonna do here is we're gonna have him get down into that back pedal position, right? He's in a nice hinge position. Don't wanna leave this position, wanna get strong in this position. So we gotta make sure we got a nice neutral spine, all right? Make sure we're kind of hinging in the hips here. As you can see, his feet are right underneath his hips. And all we're gonna do is start to pull back. And as he's pulling back, the way he's pulling back is driving his feet away. He's not pulling with the upper arms, right? Come on, bring it back slowly. Just staying in that position. And he's pushing the grass away, just like you would in a back pedal. And as you can see, we have a basketball here. And what that's doing is making him really squeeze that ball, engage his inner thighs, because when you're in a back pedal, you don't want to get straight-legged in the knees, right? So if you're not really engaging those adductors, your feet get wide, you get straight-legged, it really is gonna hinder your ability to really put your foot in the ground, turn and run, or really put the brakes down in the ground and break on the ball, right? We gotta keep that tension in the hamstrings, and we gotta keep those adductors engaged.
Why is it important to be strong in this posture for DB?
Well, because the tension that's created here, right? If we don't have tension, if he gets straight-legged, drop the ball. If he gets straight-legged, it's really hard to break on the ball from the position. He's got to get down first and then figure out how to move. That's just wasted time, wasted movement. We've seen the receivers in the NFL, that just ain't gonna cut it.
What are some of the benefits? If I'm a coach, I'm a young athlete doing this movement, what are we getting out of it?
I think the number one benefit that we're getting first off is just learning the posture of the back pedal, right? Just being able to be strong in nice athletic position, feeling like we can move where we need to move, making sure we understand how the back needs to be, because even if we took the band off, he was in a real DB stance, you don't want to be rounded in the back, right? You want to be in a nice relaxed position, but in a position where you can actually produce the force that you need through the ground. And that's the great part about this movement. And also, we get to strengthen these VMOs, right? We get to strengthen the VMOs, strengthen the glutes, strengthen the hamstrings. So this allows us to want to be in this position, right? We don't want to get out of the back pedal too early, right? We want to be able to stay there and be able to stay in this position so we can move and do whatever we need to do on the receivers.
Mistakes. What should we be on the lookout for with young athletes?
Well, I think the first thing is when they go to sit down, make sure they're not standing straight up and they're just pulling back, right? You don't want to be pulling on it. You really want to be loaded in the hamstrings, right? But you don't want to be rounded in the back. Then when you're driving the earth away to go back, you don't want to bend the elbows, because you bend the elbows, it becomes upper body movement, right? Let the legs do the work, right? Let them VMOs get swole, let those legs get the work that they need. That way, you can do what you need to do in the back pedal.
Explain in a little bit more detail what you mean by rounded in the back. Young athletes may not quite understand that.
Well, if you turn to the side, as you can see, when he's down, you can see he's just rounded right here, kind of in the T-spine area. What we don't want to do, we don't want to like be really overextended. We don't really overextend the back, but we want to be in a position where it's just naturally kind of straight. Okay. Right? This is going to allow us to be able to be pliable, but be able to apply the force to the ground that we need.
So just maintaining that natural curve of the spine.
Natural curve of the spine. That's what we want. That's what we want.
Great job, C. Let's move on to performance trait number 2 for Stephon Gilmore. Performance trait number 2 for Stephon Gilmore is his composure at the line of scrimmage. That composure allows him to maintain balance throughout the rest of the play. Before we get into the movement, talk to me a little bit why composure is so important for a DB.
It's huge because it keeps you balanced when the play starts. A lot of young defensive backs, when you're up on the line of scrimmage, it can be a little intimidating because the guy across from you is fast and you don't know where he's going.
Like me.
Like you. So the first instinct when you see that reaction, it's almost like a panic reaction. They get wide. And that freezes you, and then that gives the receiver the ability to just get by you, and then you kind of open up again and they just run right by. Instead of being able to stay balanced, keep your feet moving, and being able to cut off their route as they go upfield.
We've heard Stephon talk about his ability to cut off angles? Is the fact that he's so composed helping him do that?
Absolutely, because when you jump your feet out or you hop like a bunny and you're kind of in that position where you're frozen, you're behind already and you've already lost. So that's where it gives you that little bit of time and that control to be able to put yourself back on the right angle to get in good position.
So with this movement, are we going to build that control?
Yeah, we're going to try to.
So let's see what it looks like.
So CJ's going to take the ball real easy. We're going to take the ball, squeeze it between our legs, and get in a nice athletic position and do exactly what you just did before with the VMO drag. Just getting a nice, easy, smooth back pedal. And then once you go backwards a little bit, now we can go at a 45-degree angle like we're cutting off a route, and we can go at another 45-degree angle, and then we can also go lateral as well.
So we're combining what CJ did initially with the VMO drag/pull, but now it's just more of a free-flowing action.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a little bit more dynamic and more like you're on the field.
Real.
Yeah.
Is there a progression of this?
Yeah, now we just add a partner. Now we're gonna do it against a receiver. So,
Okay.
You have the movement down, but the key is being able to be in that control position while you're reacting off of somebody. So this is gonna still be slow, but he's gonna maintain half a man. Just you always maintain leverage in football. So he's just gonna react off me. As I release, I'm going forward, he's just gonna backpedal. I break on an angle, he stays in that leverage. I break on an angle, he stays on it. And it doesn't have to be fast. And then as you get more and more confident and comfortable with it, yeah, then we can drop the ball and you can do that same progression at a jog and then a little bit faster and a little bit faster, and then you're going full speed and you look good.
Should coaches and athletes rush into the speed component of it or focus on mastering it at a slow speed first?
No, master your own body first. Because I think once you just get in that competition phase, you forget about what you're doing and you're reacting off of him. But here, you have to focus on what you're doing. And as a defensive back, if you're focused too much on the opponent and you lose sight of what you're trying to do, you kind of lose control of that play.
Mistakes, what would you see?
Mistakes with this are real easy. The ball falls out between your legs.
That's simple, right?
Yeah,
That's simple.
And that's the same thing as what happens when you jump your feet out.
So it's a simple, easy, self-correcting drill for athletes and coaches.
Absolutely.
Perfect. That's now performance trait number 2. We're gonna move on to performance trait number 3 for Stephon Gilmore. Josh, performance trait number 3 with Stephon Gilmore. When you study his film, he owns angles really well when he's moving. So when he's ready to break and move in a particular direction, it's really clean, it's really efficient. So what do we have for a movement that can help young athletes develop that?
Well, I think we have a movement here that's really gonna help how we're breaking out of that back pedal. And I think something that we overlook in training is that we gotta get our muscles strong in the right way. So CJ's gonna grab this band right here, and we're not gonna focus so much on the skill of it, we're gonna focus on the strength of it. CJ's gonna throw this band around like a sling, over his shoulder like a backpack, and then he's gonna turn around and face where the band is posted up. Now what we're gonna do is actually build that skill to break out of the back pedal, because obviously you're gonna have to break on that route eventually. You're not just gonna go backwards the whole time. So CJ's in that stance that we talked about with the VMO and with Brian's back pedal, where we're slightly hinged and not leaning backwards, not completely upright. Now CJ's going to drive himself from his right leg, open his hip, and face an angle. And he's gonna go back and forth, really focus on squeezing and pushing the ground away, really rotating on his angle.
So we know that strength is the foundation of all movement. So even with a guy like Stephon, yes, he's highly skilled. We know that he's a very intellectual, high football IQ type of guy. We aren't trying to build skill here. We're just building the base foundation of all skill, which is strength.
Right, and you can know all the answers, but if your body can't get you to that position, it doesn't matter. So this is really focusing on that ability so that we're not just pivoting as we're breaking on our route. We're really applying a lot of force, exploding through, and then we take all that knowledge of the game, knowledge of the position, and apply it to the sport.
So what if we got to get vertical? What if it's a route where that wide receiver is now getting up the football field? This is great for if we're breaking on an angle, but what if I got to get up the field?
Well, if you got to get up the field, you're going to just pigeon toe your foot a little bit, because we can't just turn on a 180 degree all at one time. So CJ's going to pigeon toe his front foot a little bit, and now he's going to drive himself even further open. And you're not going to get there all in one drive. You're going to have to make sure that you're not getting outside of your frame of your body. Like I said, you're not reaching, but you're driving from that up leg, pushing the turf into the wall right here, and really applying a lot of force.
What are some of the benefits? I see a lot happening with the hip and that lateral glute, but from your expertise, give me what the benefits are.
The benefits here is that you're moving in the most efficient way possible, meaning that when he's breaking to the left, he's pushing from the right. And one thing that a lot of people don't understand or kind of mess up when in their thinking process is that you got to move that left leg to move left. Really, you're driving from the ground on that opposite leg. And this band is actually forcing you to do that, because since the band is pulling you, it's forcing you shut, you have to force yourself back open.
Is there some core strengthening going on there as well?
There's a ton of core as well. It's really a full body movement.
What are some of the mistakes? Where can I go wrong if I'm a young athlete? I got the band all fancied up around me. Where can I make a mistake?
Well, the number one mistake can be in your posture. If CJ gets down, we notice that we're in the hinge position like we've been doing this whole time. If you're upright and you're leaning back, you're not gonna be able to put as much force through the ground. So that's the number one mistake. The number two mistake is, again, trying to lead with, in this case, the left leg, and trying to reach outside of his frame of his body. This is all about driving, this is all about pushing.
So that kind of goes back to what Brian was talking about with maintaining that body control and not getting outside the frame.
Yes.
So this kind of puts it all together.
This puts it all together, and this really focuses on the strength aspect.
As you can see, Stephon Gilmore is a special football player, not because he's such a great athlete, but more so because of his high football IQ and elite level awareness of how to use his body. You young athletes, you gotta get out here and move around. And the one way we will all know if you're the next great Stephon Gilmore is to get out here and play some football.